of these packets. That is, each one of these weighs 1 kg. And then in terms of the estimated street value of this is 720 million rands. That is the amount that could build a village, which means that it is actually a number of jobs that could have been created if we look at the loss that one can estimate. However, in this instance, the money that we are talking about is what was going to be smoked, wasted, and the people were going to be impoverished by the very same amount that I'm talking about. And in that regard, those who will be happy will be the cartels, because they are the ones who are going to benefit financially when the rest of those who are consuming will be intoxicated. The cargo was concealed at the bottom of a floor of a ship below more than 3,669 containers, which is 30 level deep. So it was at the floor, at the bottom of the ship. So it means that the crooks were determined to ensure that nobody is going to detect this. It was designed to evade detection. You can imagine that the detection is not only time consuming, but it requires intense labor. We have been working on this matter for the past 12 days. So since the 27th of December 2018, we have been working on this matter. This work is undertaken with the assistance of our counterpart Interpol, both locally and abroad. The cargo was to be transported to Singapore before it goes to its final destination, which is India. So the crime was not only committed in the country where the cargo was harvested and produced, but it was also committed in Brazil, where the cargo was clandestinely loaded into the ship. The crime continued in the high seas, and it finally landed in South African waters. That is where we came in. The crime was still going to be committed in Singapore and India, as I've indicated. This type of crime that involves more than one country is called transnational crime. Because the type of crime that requires the assistance of more than one person or entities, it is also called organized crime. As this type of organized crime crosses the borders and involves more than one country, it is called transnational organized crime. As a signatory to the UNTOC, that is the Protocol on Transnational Organized Crime, which is commonly known as the Palermo Convention, we shall continue to play our role as South African Police Service. Organized criminal groups or syndicates are prepared to go this extra mile to risk everything to ensure that their cargo reaches a particular destination where their clients are. When dealing with cartels, it is important to note that money is their important commodity. Profit motive is what actually motivated them to commit this. In essence, the purpose of engaging in organized crime is this profit motive. In dismantling the business, we do not only sever the demand and the supply, but we also prosecute perpetrators and targets their pockets, which is where it hurts most. By confiscating the cargo, we have severed the supply chain. But the war on drugs is neither won or lost. We are still going to put more efforts in targeting the supply of these dangerous dependent producing substances. We will not be allowing these substances to go and ruin the lives of innocent people whose health are being turned into drug addicts. We are making a call to the listeners and the viewers. Do not do drugs. Do not demand drugs. Do not apply for a criminal record by doing drugs. If you stop demanding the drugs, cartels will not be producing or delivering them. The empires of the cartels will fall. To sever the demand chain, that is what we want to be doing. But the power to stop this demand rests in the hands of all of us. If we can just stop the demand of the drugs, nobody will be struggling to supply. We want to thank all those who continue to provide us with the information as we will continue to respond. The investigation in this matter is continuing. We are not alone in this, as I have indicated, that it crosses the border. Let me conclude by thanking the effort of the investigation team that have been working on from the serious organized crime within the DPCI, members of the local criminal record center who have worked tirelessly to ensure that they do their part in the container where these things have been seized, as the investigation is going to continue. The members from the technical response team, those at the harbor police, the harbor master, and the water black OPCK 9 unit, the crime intelligence Interpol that assisted, the port management, the South African Revenue Services, the custom division in particular, and other entities that I will not be mentioning them that continue to assist us in this. The teamwork is a recipe for success. I thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jana. Do you have questions?
Yes, please.
Okay. Let's take them one by one. Let's start from here, then we'll go this side.
Hi, I'm Sandy from ENCA. Were there any arrests made?
In this regard, there is no arrest that has been made. As you'll understand that the cartel themselves will not be traveling with the ship. So they loaded the cargo from as far as Brazil, where this thing started. And it is destined for India, so the cartel themselves will not come closer. But that is the investigation that we are working on.
Okay.
Where exactly was the cocaine seized? Was it today?
The cocaine was obviously we ensured that the ship is taken to the harbor here in Kuka, which is where we have seized the cocaine from the bottom of the container.
Okay. I think there was a hand this side.
Yes, do you have any more such successes recently?
Just repeat it.
Yeah,
Talk about loud.
more similar successes recently?
Similar successes.
Yeah, I think this is not the first time, but obviously the magnitude differ and the method of concealment differ, because in some other areas you find that it has been mixed with other substances. As you can see, this one is pure, which is what makes the difference. So I think that if you obviously look at the internet, you shall see that in some international airport in Cape Town and in OR, we have seized some of these substances.
Okay. Wait, Karen, let me check the lady.
Thank you. How long did you take to follow the train from Brazil, and when did it actually arrive here?
As I've indicated, that the moment that we, as the DPCI, came into the picture is on the 28th of December, the 27th of December. That is 12 days we have been working on this. So we knew, we have been following up the leads. We knew when will be the right moment.
And the confiscation, was it today?
The confiscation was done yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yes, so it is a lot of work that needed to be done, because then if you have got 3,669 containers, and this is at the bottom of those containers, you will understand that the labor of removing those at the top so that you can reach the bottom where this one is hidden needed time. We couldn't call you in the evening. We decided that let's keep the commodity safely so that we can invite you to come and see.
In terms of drug busts nationally in the last few months, is this one of the biggest or the biggest?
If we talk in the last few months, you shall have noted that we have called you when we have seized some clandestine laboratory in KwaZulu-Natal, which we said that it is one of the biggest ones. And then from time to time we confiscate different quantities, but in bigger ones is where we really invite you to come and see, so that the nation can see what type of challenge we are dealing with, because this is destined to go and intoxicate the nation wherever it reaches the people.
What happens with the product now?
The product, obviously, as you can see, we are having our forensic experts that we have to ask permission that we can open this seal. After we have done this, it's going again to be sealed so that it can be examined to determine the nature, the purity level of this substance. And thereafter they shall compile the necessary reports, experts report, as required by the Criminal Procedure Act. You know, in terms of Section 212, you need that expert report, which is what can be utilized as an exhibit. Then you keep a little bit of a sample, then we dispose of the rest so that this never get a way of getting circulated against, where we are trying to prevent it from reaching the community.
So what has happened to the ship? Was it seized? Is it still in the harbor? What's it?
No, the ship, we do not seize the ship. As you can understand, that it's like a bus. Many people will have one container to rent, to load into the ship. Those 3,669 containers does not belong to one company. It is various people who use this as a mode of transport. So no, it was not necessary to confiscate. We look at various things before you confiscate the method or whatever tool that has been used to transport. In this regard, we were satisfied that the company transporting this commodity was not involved.
Was the ship destined to stop in PE, or was it diverted here?
No, it was destined to stop in PE. There is a certain cargo that was to be offloaded. Approximately 60 of these containers were to be offloaded, and some have to be loaded on. You know, it is a mode of transport that is taking this long journey.
And when did it dock? When did the actual ship dock?
Yesterday.
Okay, yes, sir.
But surely, if I put consignment in a ship, it has to be registered as in who deposited it, who paid for the shipment. Will your investigations go that far?
That is part of the investigation that we are talking about, which is why we are not taking the whole ship.
What was it registered under?
No, you see, that is part of the investigation. As you can see, that arrest has not yet been effected. We will not go into the details of who is actually the person who initiated this and who is the recipient of this. That is part of the investigation that the law enforcement officials in these different countries will be working on.
And you did mention it, but this was clearly the result of a tip-off.
We appreciate the information that comes from the public. As you see, we are in South Africa. We wouldn't know that we must go to the bottom side of this ship that is carrying more than 3,600. So it means that from